Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch.
Love Island.
Hey y'all, hey, welcome to Sisters Who Watch.
Hello, I'm Shelby.
And I'm Laura, and we're sisters who watch everything. TV, movie, sports, concerts, and even singles looking for love in a villa. Bombshells entering the villa. Yes, today we're watching
Love Island All-Stars. Season 3 of ITV's and Peacock's hit dating show.
That's
Can't get enough.
it.
Can't get enough.
And before we get into our review of Love Island All-Stars, please make sure you're giving Sisters Who Watch 5 stars. 5 stars wherever you listen. Rate, download, subscribe. We really appreciate your support. Yes. Follow us at Sisters Who Watch on all social media platforms. Okay, Shelby, can you give us a little background on Love Island All-Stars?
Yes, here is the logline. The legendary Islanders return for a second shot at romance. Bombshells disrupt established couples, turning heads and breaking hearts. And this is hosted by Maya Jama. She's the one who hosts Love Island UK the regular season, and she's back for this. And then Ian Sterling continues to narrate with his comedy. And we started watching All Stars in 2024 when it started, and have been watching ever since. So it's funny how it started right after we started watching Love Island for the first time, and it's like they hooked us. They got us in. They reeled us in, because now I watch it all.
Literally. I know, the Love Island universe, it's like becoming the new Bachelor Nation. Like year round, there's content for Love Island. It's wild.
I think it's great. It's sort of like Traitors, or I think how people feel like The Challenge, like Perfect Match, when you bring the stars or the best of people from, in this case, I guess it's like Paradise too, right? You're bringing the best of people from your various seasons and franchises together. And I think that's why people like Paradise, or used to. That's why people like The Challenge. That's why Perfect Match could be better, but that's why I think inherently it's a good premise, because you're bringing people that we're familiar with back, or some people like I didn't know, but bringing all the main characters back into the villa is genius to me, especially since Love Island has been on now for like 12 seasons in the UK, and there's so many iconic people. And even if like I haven't seen every Love Island season, I've only seen 5, 10, 11, 12, but there are people that like I've heard of. But it also feels like All Stars leans more recent, so it helps that I've seen the recent seasons, because a lot of the All-Stars have been coming from those. But I think it's great. I think it's really smart, and Paradise should take notes, even though Paradise has happened longer. But I think other Perfect Match should take notes. I think the way Love Island All-Stars does it is the blueprint, because it's really well done. It's very similar to regular Love Island, but they do like slightly different things, which I think makes it even better.
Yeah, I agree. And I also think Love Island does really good casting. I would say the one time they did bad casting was with Joey Essex. Besides that, I think the casting is really good. And I think that this cast, right, they bring back people like staples who we know, but also people, right, who were on like 10 years ago who we'd never heard of, but they bring great TV, right? Like someone like Belle. Belle was on series 5, which was like 2018, 2019, and she was barely on that season, right?
But she was memorable for blowing up at Anton.
Who are you most excited to see come into the villa? Like when they announced the cast at first, who were you like, yes, I'm so excited?
I'm gonna be honest, there was no one I was like super pumped for, which is what's interesting. And now I'm like, oh, the season was great. But because I'm always rooting for everybody black, but Whitney kind of rubs me the wrong way. Like, she's just a little kind of mean girl to me.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't super thrilled to see her. I didn't watch Leanne's season, so I didn't know who Leanne was.
Yeah.
I thought Jess was like fun, like fine, but not like, oh my gosh, I'm rooting for Jess. I didn't know who Millie was. I already said I didn't like Candyman. So I wasn't necessarily like, oh my gosh, I'm like rooting for the OG cast necessarily, but I was intrigued. What about you when you saw like the OG
Yeah. I mean, the people who I knew were Whitney and Jess. And I mean, I knew Candyman. I didn't like him. So probably Whitney and Jess. I was like, okay, like they're fun. Yeah. I enjoyed them on their original seasons.
Yeah.
So I was looking forward to seeing them again. But charge it to the game. I didn't like I thought Whitney was very annoying this season.
She was so annoying. If I heard charge it to the game one more time.
Charge it, babe.
Charge it.
Charge it to the game.
I'm like, so, please.
Yeah, she was interesting this season. And so our first bombshell was Scott, the first night. What are your feelings on Scott? He's a very, very polarizing guy.
Yes. Scott's very polarizing. His entrance was kind of nuts. He comes in first of all, night one bombshells are always the best. Like you want to be the night one bombshell because you're basically a part of the OG cast, even though
but you have your moment.
But you have your moment. So they knew what they were doing. Again, casting knew what they were doing.
Yes.
Like making Scott the OG bombshell was genius. And he shows up, everyone's like, whoa. Whitney's like, Scottisha. I'm like, please, please. Of course they're besties. And all the girls seem excited. Like Millie, I forgot Helena was an OG. Like I was like, oh, I guess Scott's a hot commodity. Like people were excited to see him. But Maya is like, okay, Scott, please say like which couples like are incompatible or like who do you like are concerned about or whatever. And he's like, he points at like Belle and Sean and it's like, yeah, I'm only seeing one all-star there in that couple. And he was like, mate, you were like the worst Love Island
Islander I've ever
seen. To Sean. Everyone gasps. I gagged. I was like, Scott, you just walked into the villa. Calm down. It was off the rails.
Crazy. Oh my gosh. Scott is a messy queen. I personally don't like men who are like that, like super vocal and opinionated, really into the drama. Like that's just not for me. Yeah. That's just not for me. But I did love how he came for Sean. Sean needs to become for Sean is annoying.
Joey X's lapdog. He was.
Yes. He was really annoying on his original season and he did not redeem himself.
He tried.
Continued to be annoying.
He wanted a redemption.
So I'm happy that Scott was there to call people out. Because I think a lot of the time the men just enable each other and allow each other to be clowns. Yes. But I felt like the men this season were really coming for each other and were like, bro. Like the men weren't bothering me as much as they usually do.
No. And I think Scott set the tone. And people are annoyed by it, but he wasn't just like, oh, we're bros, I'm going to cover things under the rug. Like, no, actually, like, you're playing.
I'm going to let you act like a fool. He was like, no, I'm going to call you out and be like, this wasn't okay.
I think that was smart to bring someone like that who you know would bring a lot of energy. And he had been on multiple other shows, and everyone kept saying that, but he didn't last long.
Everyone been on
I think he was on Love Island Games. I don't even remember him on it. I'm like, he was barely on.
I think he was on his original season.
Yes, then he did USA.
A US season. I think he was on Perfect Match. I think he was on Perfect Match. And now he's here. Yeah. So I guess like 4 shows or like you've been on 5 shows.
And
I'm like,
everyone has.
People have been on games and
everyone.
Things, I don't know.
Lucinda, like all of these people. Samie, who ended up, spoiler alert, winning. She was on All Stars last year. No one's talking about that.
I also was like, Samie was literally on last season.
Curtis. No one came for Curtis. Curtis has been
on everything. I'm like, Curtis is on the show again?
He's been on second time All Stars. He's done games. I'm like, Curtis
is like everywhere.
It just felt like Scott was an easy target, to be honest.
Yes.
Because I'm like these other people have been on plenty of shows, but you guys are really coming for Scott hard.
Exactly. So
I do agree with you though. Like, I wouldn't want to date a messy man like Scott. But
no.
For TV, like it was the Scott show. Like when you think about it, who drove the season? It was Scott.
He was the main character. And
what would have been without Scott? We would have. It would not have been the same.
I know. And clearly Scott has a thing for black women because he was locked in on
On
Leanne
Leanne.
from day one. I think
Day one.
that, right, Scott is a hot commodity. Scott's attractive. People like his bold personality. He was voted favorite Islander,
In the
right, in the
beginning, which was
beginning
wild.
after he yelled at
At
half the
Sean.
villa.
And everyone was like, oh.
He's like, Scott's the number one guy in the villa? I thought that was so wild.
Crazy.
But yeah, he had such an interesting storyline. One thing we do need to talk about, Scott and Millie were voted favorite girl and favorite boy in the villa. When Millie dumped that guy that she
The
was talking
first
to,
dumping was iconic. Charlie. So basically,
Charlie, that was
Scott
crazy.
got involved because Charlie was with Millie. They coupled the first day, really liked each other. But he was also all of a sudden kind of chatting to Jess. And Scott was to Charlie, is like, I feel like you're using Jess to make Millie jealous. And
Ooh.
initially he was like, no. And then he was like, yeah, maybe. And then it was like, what? And he got really defensive. And then Scott told Millie, and Millie was like, that's crazy. And so Scott definitely meddled, but Charlie was acting crazy. Like he was, playing Jess a little, playing Millie a little. You could say that's part of Love Island, but I think he probably could have handled it better. What didn't he like kiss Jess or say he wanted to kiss Jess and then kiss Millie and then picked Millie or something in the recoupling? And everyone was like, wait, why would you kiss Jess or say you wanted to kiss Jess if you were then going to pick Millie? Like he was doing things that were acting a little sus.
Yeah. And then he's like, I'm not married to Millie. I'm not married to Millie. Like the men love to say stuff like that. They're like, we're not, like, it's early days. And it's like, okay, yes, but there's a way to move in Love Island.
He played himself. He really played himself.
And Millie, the way Millie dumped it, that was crazy.
I think that was the first time everyone said that like someone dumped their own couple. Like Millie, honestly, that was the second I was like, oh, Millie's a baddie. Like Millie, I was like, oh, Millie can be a fave.
She stood on business.
Stood on business, not playing around. I think she's like 29, so it's one of the older girlies in the villa, and you could tell, like,
she had
come to her for advice. She had confidence. She was level-headed. She was also a hot commodity, but so glad she dropped Charlie. That's when I knew. Well, I knew the season was going to be good when when Scott called out Sean. I was like, oh.
I know, day one.
But when Millie dumped Charlie, I was like, oh.
I was like,
let me get my popcorn. Like, this season's about to be wild. Got it.
No, exactly. And that was so wild. And so Scott dumps AJ, who was talking to Shaq. What did you think of our black man, our black king, Shaq?
Oh yeah, Shaq was an OG as well. Apparently he and his season was in the finals with a black woman, and but who was friends with Leanne and Whitney, so that's why they didn't want to be paired with him. But the public initially paired Shaq and Leanne together, and Leanne was like, nah, I can't do that. Shaq, initially I was like, oh, Shaq seems like cool, Shaq seems funny, but he played too much in a few ways. One, classic, coming for Whitney at the fire pit and being rude to her because he didn't like how she said something. You, as a man, should never speak to a woman that way. And I think that was the nail in the coffin for him eventually, spoiler alert, being dumped. I think the UK was like, why are you talking to Whitney like that? And he just came with so much energy. It was aggressive. And classic, I feel like black men and men in general feel like they can't talk to black women like that. And so that I think he played himself with. And then he was a hot commodity. He had AJ who was interested in him. He had Helena. He had Belle. He literally had 3 girls interested in him and then ended up having no one and being dumped, which is like insane. He played it so wrong. That's what's interesting sometimes on this show. Like, he was with Helena, new bombshell. AJ comes, picks him. He's trying to figure out, who do I kiss? Who do I, deal with? And AJ gets dumped by the public and Scott. And then, so right now I can just be with Helena. But then he's like, ooh, I kind of like Belle. And he decides to break it off with Helena before Belle even really gives him the go-ahead. And then Belle decides to pick Sean. because she wants to finish that off, which was crazy. And so then Shaq ends up all alone. Helena's miffed off by him, and then he comes at Whitney and then gets dumped. I mean, crazy. Sort of with Jess, too. Jess was kind of a hot commodity, right? Like, remember, everyone's like, oh, Jess is so cute. Tommy and Charlie and Ciaran. But she turned down Tommy too early. He got kind of annoyed by that, and so they friend zoned each other. And then the whole Charlie thing blew up in her face. Realized Charlie wasn't the one. Samie eventually came in, and that's who Ciaran wanted. And I was like, dang, now Jess has no one. It's just crazy. Life comes at you fast in the villa.
This is true. Yes. So I feel like I was surprised that Jess and Shaq got dumped early because they were two OGs who seemed to be hot commodities.
And apparently the producers were shocked too because they apparently were going to bring his ex in as a bombshell. That's what they always do, right? Yeah. They like, oh my gosh, your ex from your season when you made the finale, bring her in. But they dumped that because, because they were like, well, Shaq's not here anymore. Like, they were obviously expecting him to be in longer. And it's like, well.
Yeah, totally.
We got to talk about, so we mentioned some of the bombshells that came in, but when they brought in Lucinda and Curtis, I was like, please.
Yes, I think that's bombshell when the arrival season, like, really kicked up.
Hit another level, 100%.
Yes, and
great bombshells.
I also was like, Curtis is back again? I was like, Curtis has been on so many seasons of Love Island. And Lucinda was literally on Love Island Games like 3 months ago.
And won.
Like, and yes, won controversially. People did not like her on that season.
I did not. So I was like, ugh.
It was shocking how she won. Mm-hmm. And so she was literally on that show like a few months ago.
Yeah.
And I guess her and Isaiah Zay last for like 30 seconds. I'm like,
who thought they would last? Who thought they would last, please?
Nobody. So yeah, Lucinda's alarmingly back on my screen. What do you think of Curtis and Lucinda?
I thought casting was great for that because it was post the Charlie dumping, right? And so Millie's all alone. There's no one for her. It was past the sorry, I'm trying to think timing wise. So it was past like the Charlie dumping, Millie's all alone, and it was also past like Jess breaking it off with Tommy, so she's alone. Like, there were a lot of girlies that were like, oh, Curtis is here, you know? And then Sean and Belle were kind of rocky. So it was just like all these, like, it was perfect timing to bring in two bombshells that were hot commodities who have like history and have been on a lot of shows. I was like, great timing to bring them in. I like Curtis because he tends, and maybe this is it's like a ploy. Like, he gives off nicer guy. He gives off like mature guy. You know, he's a ballroom dancer. Like, he just gives off like not your typical footballer, you know?
Yeah.
So I like that about him. And Lucinda, I was not excited about because I did not like her on games. And I haven't seen her other seasons though. So I'm not familiar with, you know, her from UK, and then apparently she's on Australia. But just from games, I was like, ugh, not Lucinda, but smart. I was like, not Lucinda, but smart Lucinda, because she's
she's
personality. Yeah,
she has a big personality. Yeah, I was excited to see Curtis, but also part of me is like, Curtis, what are you doing?
Yeah, you don't need to be on here anymore. How many times do you need to be on Love Island?
Get out of here, Curtis.
Like, maybe Curtis is the clout chaser. Everyone's like, I think Scott Curtis and Lucinda, but actually, it's probably Curtis.
I'm like, what's Curtis doing on the show
Curtis
again?
Should not be on here anymore.
Yeah. And Tommy immediately was into Lucinda and made it clear. And Curtis immediately put his claws into Millie and was like obsessed with her quickly. And I could tell
Curtis's problem. He gets a little too hot and heavy. He's a lover boy.
And you could tell Millie liked him, but Curtis was dialed in. And
a little too much so.
Yeah, a little too much so. He came on strong. And then, what a twist. Instead of, you know, their Casa Amor, they have Villa USA.
So good.
What did you think of this twist?
Initially, I was like annoyed because this past season on UK, they brought Tony in as the first American. And you think, oh, I'm American, I love that. No, I watch UK for the UK Islanders and their British accents. I don't watch it to hear Americans.
Yeah.
But this was actually like a smart way to do Casa Amor. And it also gave some US Islanders like a chance to shine that as US fans we haven't seen a lot of or hadn't seen in a while. So, for instance, Zach had been like a Casa Amor boy this last season. No one picked him. On the season. Came and went. Like, so we don't know much about him. So you see him on here and you're like, what? But then you see him kind of shine and be like really good with Millie. And you're like, oh, good for Zach.
No,
like,
I
glad Zach's here.
Yeah.
So again, the casting, they did a good job. And they also brought over some baddies like Cher. Stunning.
Like, I have never seen her. Like, I didn't know any of these people besides Carrington and Zach because Zach
and Amani, because Amani was on Games.
Amani was on Games, but most of them I had never seen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cher, one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen in my life. She looks like Zendaya. Like I think she looks really similar to her, so it makes sense why she's so beautiful. She was great. Imani is like so beautiful and lovely, and Yemen, I had never seen him before, but jacked.
Looks like a Greek god. I was like, whoa.
Oh my goodness. That's a big dude.
So it's like they picked better guys for Casa than actual Villa. And so it was like perfect timing for Millie and Whitney, because Whitney, okay. We have to talk about Whitney and
and he was like, Jack. I don't do baby daddies.
And then Whitney and Connor.
I can't. I really like Connor. I really like him, but he just keeps on getting done dirty. And I think, and it's interesting, like
nice guys finish last, I guess.
Well, for Whitney, because Jack seemed, I don't know, Jack was a little iffy, wishy washy, because he was like,
I don't think Whitney. He liked Whitney.
Yeah, he clearly didn't like her.
They were just kind of stuck together and trying to force it.
I know.
But everyone was coming for Whitney saying you're playing Jack. And it's like, guys, Jack doesn't even like her. Can't you stop? Why is this a Whitney issue?
He said that to Whitney. He was like, yeah. So they were just not a good match. But Whitney was trying to kind of force it. They both were. And then Connor, I really like him, but Whitney just is very particular. She clearly was not into him. It did feel like she was bringing him along a bit.
100%. I felt bad for him. The worst thing she ever said was after Shaq got dumped, who was her friend that had yelled at her. She in bed with Connor is like, yeah, I like wish Shaq was here instead of you. I was like,
I said Whitney needs to get dumped right now.
Whitney needs to go, because that is so mean. And then, see, my issue is like, people are like, oh, you know, they're just honest. They just tell it like it is. No, that's an excuse to be mean. No, I'm sorry.
And unnecessary.
You does not need to say that to him.
Say it to someone else.
Say it to someone else. To him. Or even just be like, yeah, I miss Shaq. You know, it was tough.
Obviously,
but, he's my friend. He was here. But, you know, glad you're here. That's all you had to say.
Yeah, Whitney was being annoying this season. Oof. I thought that was insane. I was like, I don't need this woman on my TV screen. After she said that to him, I'm like, why would you say that?
And then she's like, I'm a slow burner. I don't kiss outside challenges. Meets Damon, kisses him all the time. All over this man. PDA to the max. I'm like, Whitney.
I know. It's like, just say you don't like Connor. Just say
you don't like Connor.
Just say you don't like
Jack. Just say you don't like them. Because the way you're acting with Damon.
It felt like she was, you know, leading a couple people on in the villa.
100%.
And she didn't actually like them. I understand the point of Love Island is to, like, stick around until someone you really like gets there. And that's what she was doing.
And it worked for her.
She was sticking around. Yeah. So, not the Black love story I particularly loved watching on screen. But, you know, good for them, I guess.
Yeah, good for them, I guess.
So who from the Americans were you most excited to see?
I actually grew to like both Zach. I was supposed to say Scat. Zach and Scott combined. Both Zach and Yateman. Also, Carrington, like, hadn't really liked him on Games and
he was on Perfect
Match. Like, he didn't really come off the best.
No.
But he came off pretty good. in All Stars. And I'm like, wow, good for Carrington, having a little arc, having some better success. Because it feels like the US producers have been trying to push him on us. Like,
Yeah, he's been on a lot of
he's
stuff.
been on a lot, but it hasn't resonated. But this felt like the best out of all I've seen him on recently. So it's like, oh, good for Carrington.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, I was probably most excited to see Imani because she was our Black queen coming out
yeah,
of Villa USA.
I just had a feeling there was no one there for her, sadly.
I also
That was my only thing. It was like, yes, bring a Black woman on, but not if they're not going to check for her. I don't want to see that. That's what gets me like, what?
Connor liked her. Connor in the main villa liked her.
What's interesting is like Connor on season 11 was not checking for any Black woman, and I'm like, what happened? Like,
maybe he had some bad run-ins with, you know, a certain type of woman.
Maybe, because I was like so confused.
All over the woman of
I was like, this is not Connor from his first season. You're talking to all the Black women. I'm like, okay.
I know. So I was checking for Connor this season. I was like, okay. Yeah. And I also think he's one of the more attractive men in the villa. Like, I think he's so cute. Yeah.
I just think he's either too nice or awkward or something.
But he's just not good for Love Island.
No. Like, you need to have like a strong personality, and he doesn't.
No. So yeah, I thought Villa USA was an interesting twist. I think it was a clever way to do, you know, the Casa more. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't love seeing all these Americans on Love Island. You know, that's not why they come for Love Island.
And they did all the like UK American puns and like, oh, I can't understand you. And
yeah, so it was interesting. It also poses like the whole point of Love Island, and this is why shows like Perfect Match don't work, right? Everyone's from all over the world, and it's like it's really hard to date that way. And I think what makes Love Island good is that the UK is pretty small. So it's pretty easy to do long distance.
Even though they're like, how are Scott and Leanne going to be together? She lives in England and he lives in Wales.
An hour and a half away. And
I'm like, I can't. You guys are being so dramatic.
But they're like, oh yeah, Yemen and Whitney, LA to London, 11-hour flight.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh yeah, we're going to make it work. But I was like, okay.
Like, okay.
As someone who has done that flight, that is not easy. Not easy. The LA California to UK or Europe is tough. Yeah, like, we are very far.
So Villa USA, it was an interesting twist. I hope they don't do it every season. I feel like they might do it every season now. I don't know how sustainable it is for these Americans and Brits to be in these relationships.
Yeah, I think it really worked this season because they had good guys that were matches for the girls that were single and looking for something else.
Yes.
So I think that made it all so good.
Yes. And I have a question for you. What did you think of during Villa USA, Sean and Lucinda, you know, getting to know each other?
It was the Scott show, but then the Sean and Lucinda show.
Yes, like it became the Lucinda show.
The main characters were Scott, Sean, Lucinda, Belle, and Leanne. Like, they drove the season, to be honest.
Yeah.
So what's interesting is Belle and Sean had kind of been up and down, but I knew Belle was not Sean's type. I knew that. Yeah. It was so clear. That is not who he wanted. And brutal, Tommy is in, Lucinda's coupled up with Tommy. He's in Villa USA. Belle's coupled up with Sean, but she's in Villa USA. So you have Lucinda and Sean just in the villa alone together. And I mean, there are other people there like Samie and Scott and Leanne, and Curtis, and who are just all moping around. But Sean and Lucinda take the time to get to know each other and start forming a connection. And then it's like fall heads over heels in like a short amount of time. What's tough about it is because Sean was apparently Tommy's bestie, and that was Tommy's girl. That's brutal. And Belle was like, I'm a loyal babe, and you're out here not being loyal to me. So like, it was tough. What's interesting with this stuff is like, oh, it's Love Island, so like we can't be shocked this happens. Right. But I do think because y'all's partners were just taken, they didn't have a choice, right? They left, and then you're there. Wow. And Sean, Tommy's supposed to be your best mate. You shouldn't go for Lucinda. That was my biggest thing. Not the Lucinda Belle thing, because they weren't friends. No. Like, I think Belle made it such a big deal, but it's like, y'all aren't friends. She's looking out for herself. You shouldn't be shocked. I think it's more on the Tommy Sean thing that was bad.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Lucinda did anything wrong. She also got to the villa like 2 days before. So
yeah, like she'd just been paired up with Tommy. So she was like, why is this such a big deal?
yeah. But wow, when Villa USA returns, like
Hurricane Belle came out.
Hurricane Belle, Tommy felt betrayed. And that's when the drama like really, really, really kicked up. Like Belle was screaming every challenge at Sean and Lucinda.
Initially,
Yeah,
it was kind of funny, but then I got over it. I was like, Belle, we don't need to hear it anymore.
I know she was. Yeah, what did you think of Belle this season? She was like really. She was at the heart of all the drama. All the drama.
And
Scott.
again,
Lucinda,
it's like, oh, I'm passionate. Okay, and I know Lucinda said she wasn't bullied, but it was kind of giving like close because everyone in the villa, I don't know what, but it felt like Belle was running things. Like
yeah,
she had the power in the villa, and it wasn't necessarily like Belle was billing Lucinda, but everyone was on Belle's side. It felt like, and I was like, oh my gosh, poor Lucinda. No one on her side, and I don't even like Lucinda. And you guys having me sort of feel bad for her. I was like, I hate that. We could talk about it now, but my worst thing was how she dealt with the whole Scott and Leanne situation.
yes, and a lot of people were well, specifically Lucinda. Lucinda was upset because she's close friends with Leanne, and she also was like, "You did the same thing that you were mad at me for doing." Right. And it did feel snaky. And Whitney also said that to Belle. She was like, why aren't you telling Leanne that you're getting to know Scott? Like, you need to be more honest and transparent. And this all happens because, like, Scott, Cher
Comes
was
back
dating
from
Scott.
yes.
She comes back from Villa USA. And
Scott wasn't even in the villa, but she still wanted him.
yeah,
and she picks
Cher chooses Scott into recoupling. And then this is just causes a whole mess. Leanne is mad at Scott. You were entertaining her, yada, yada, yada.
Leanne's
and
like,
I think Leanne definitely could have been more clear on what she wanted. And 100%. Been like, I want to be exclusive. I want, I don't want you getting to other people. But then Leanne is like, I'm done with this. And then ends things with Scott. And then Belle sees her chance because Scott breaks things off with Cher. He's like, I don't want you, Cher. I'm sorry. And then Bella's like, oh, well, maybe I should get to know Scott, which was bizarre.
and then she's like, yeah, we've been flirting the whole time. I'm like, you have? Like, how does that make Leanne feel? Like, it just felt all of a sudden you're into Scott, like, because he's available, or like you guys have been friends. Like, it just felt out of the blue. And the way she was flirting with him, the heart rate challenge, like, I was like, oh, this isn't good. This isn't good. And Whitney telling Scott that that she thinks Belle's a better fit for him over Leanne. Oh, it just felt like these women were not friends. I honestly felt like Leanne, kind of like Lucinda, had no friends in there. Because the way Whitney and Belle were acting, I was like, there's no way that's your friend.
Real friends.
No way that's your friend. Belle was even like, well, yeah, Leanne, you couldn't make up your mind. How am I supposed to know how to act? You're not supposed to go for her man. That's how you're supposed to act. It doesn't matter if she's like, oh, I'm done with him. We all know that she likes Scott. Give me a break. Like, I know. I'm getting worked up because it was annoying the way they moved. I'm like, oh.
Right. And I think people are like, oh, well, Leanne, you dumped him and ended things. Like, you were going back and forth. And I think she was like, she needed to stand on business and was like, Scott,
that was
if you're going to treat me like this, yeah, she was just like, I need to put my foot down. Because 100%. Sometimes men didn't need to be a little shaken to get
the point.
I
think he needed to be, and that got him in order. That got him in check.
It absolutely
got him in check. He needed that.
Yeah, she needed Scott to wake up, and that was 100%. That was a wake-up call.
And what's crazy is Scott and Leanne were the strongest couple in the beginning, but had all these blips. And I feel like if they hadn't had all the blips, they could have won it all. But it is what it is.
Yeah. And also, Leanne brought Yaman to the secret garden. Whitney was mad about that too.
She was.
But it seemed like that was their only conversation.
Yeah. So my thing is like,
I'm like, why was Whitney so upset? That felt weird.
She was looking to be mad at Leanne because remember during movie night, she was like, Leanne's egging Samie and Belle on. Like, why aren't you trying to calm them down? It just felt like she was kind of looking to be mad at Leanne multiple times.
Weird.
And I'm like, why are you trying to take another dark skin girl down? Like, I don't know. It really felt something was happening there. I'm not going to lie. It was giving, you know how I felt like there were a lot of parallels between this season and Love Island USA season 7. I felt like Whitney and Leanne were supposed to be like Shelly and Olandria. But you can't force it, you know? And I think it started to feel like Whitney was like, oh, maybe why is Leanne getting so much screen time? Or like, why is like everyone like Leanne? Like, I don't know. It just felt like Leanne. She felt threatened and was trying to bring Leanne down, honestly, because it wasn't adding up to me, like the way she was moving. If that's supposed to be your friend,
I think that's super fair. Yeah, yeah, Whitney was kind of the villain of the season. There were many villains, but she was one of them for sure. So the road to the finale, we gotta get into that. Harrison comes in, and Belle is saved. Young Bull, and also, okay, wait, I need to mention this. Helena being like, "I have the ick from Carrington. I have the ick." And then she takes him back 30 seconds later.
After the heart rate challenge.
The heart rate challenge was also pivotal because that's when Leanne was like, I want my mom back. And then Helena wants Carrington back. I know, I'm home, come home. And I was like, Helena was such a bizarre character this season.
I know.
Like, you were like, ugh, I don't like Carrington. You broke it off, and then the next day you wanted him again? Huh? Yeah, I thought Helena was strange this season. So Helena and Carrington get dumped. Wait, and what did you think of
Jessie?
late bombshell Jess? What did you think of her? Jessie. She came up a heart rate. Jessie.
I didn't like her at all. First of all, I was like trying to remember where she was from. And she was like, I was like, oh, that was Joey Essex's girl. He went with. I was like, oh, I was like trying to remember
the other blonde one. Yes.
And my issue was it felt like she came in hot for Lucinda, and I think what's hard sometimes when you're watching the show as a late bombshell, you come in, you're picking sides, but you haven't even been here. So it just felt weird. And I think that's why the audience was like, whoa, what is going on? Because it felt strange. Then we find out they had some issues on the outside, but of course we didn't know that. But it just felt like you're coming in here really hot, having opinions on everybody. We don't even know you. Like, kind of fill your place in the villa before jumping in.
Yeah, she did come in hot, but also I thought Lucinda was annoying. So I didn't mind it. And I felt bad for Jessie. I did, because she was getting kind of roasted and grilled. And when her dad was like, yeah, Jessie, you're coming off as a mean girl, I was like, ooh.
You needed to hear that. I know. I guess I'm like, that's how she's acting.
Poor thing. And the percentage of the challenge where they asked the viewers,
the challenges at the end were brutal.
Yeah, it's like, oh, is Jessie using
Tommy to get to the finale?
To the final.
It was like 75%. 83%.
And I was like, oh my goodness, that was so mean. I was like, really I don't think she's coming off that bad.
I thought she was, to be honest.
Interesting. Yeah, so I did feel bad for her. It's interesting you don't, but she had a rough season and she was on for like a week. So they got dumped also right before the finale. So we have our 5 couples: Sean and Lucinda, Millie and Zach, Ciaran and Samie, Whitney and Yemen, Leanne and Scott.
And my favorite thing is at the end when all the former Islanders come back and they vote who to be dumped. They decided to dump Belle and Harrison, which made sense.
Of course.
Were like the newest couple, didn't really have a connection. Belle was like, it's a cop-out. It's a cop-out. I'm like, Belle, just not everything's a cop-out. It felt like she couldn't like take any critique and just relax. Like, you are obviously the couple that needs to go. I did think, though, the Scott and Leanne votes were people that just didn't like Scott. I felt like they didn't have anything to do with Scott and Leanne. And just like Charlie, it just felt like people that didn't like Scott. And then the Sean and Lucinda votes, I think also
warranted.
People that warranted. Like, they have had a crazy journey. I guess you could say Scott and Leanne had a crazy journey, but for me, it's like, how can you still not see that they like each other? That felt a little inherently racist to me. It's like, why do people think that an attractive white man can't be into a dark-skinned black woman? Which is why I posted on TikTok that reminds me of Nicolandria. People weren't agreeing, but I'm like, they are obviously not the same kind of love and support, but Scottan, as people like to call them, are similar in the sense, like, it's hard for people to sometimes see a conventionally attractive white man with a dark-skinned black woman. And they had issues inside the villa, outside the villa, but people trying to like understand it. And I just will never support that.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I do think Scott was acting a bit of a fool in the villa. So I
100%.
understand why people were questioning them. And right, they got the most questions in that fan challenge. Like is Scott worthy of Leanne? Can Leanne do better?
Everyone in the villa chose their question for them. I was like,
it's like, ouch. And the question,
even their friends. I'm like, not Whitney and Yeaman like, asking that.
This is for Leanne. We just love Leanne, and we want clarity for her. And
they're not her friend.
It's a little shady. It's
snaky. These are not her friends.
And the question where it was like, will Scott DM Belle, be in Belle's DMs after this? I thought that was so funny. And also, this was another example of Belle like taking things way too seriously. I was like, calm down. She was not a dig at her.
No. She's like, you just want me to be embarrassed. I'm like, Belle, get out of here.
Like, girl, get out of here.
I can't, honestly. Like, if she said, like, I couldn't hear her anymore, Laura. It was too much.
I know. She was getting annoying towards the end. I was like, okay, it's getting kind of victim. Poor me. Everyone hates me. You're trying to embarrass me. It's like, girl, it's not that serious.
I was so glad when she left. Okay, yes. I will just say, I only have a few minutes left. So
yes, I was about to say, okay. So coming into the finale, who did you think was going to win and who did you want to win?
I thought it was pretty open. I wanted Scott and Leanne to win, even though Scott was such a clown. I was team Leanne. Or Zach and Millie, because I thought they had a great chemistry, really good energy, and Millie was kind of like the baddie of the season. Like, I think Millie was a good anchor, but I thought it was split. I didn't think Whitney and Yeaman could win, and I didn't think Sean and Lucinda could win, but I thought Scott Tan, Millie and Zach, or Samie and Ciaran. But to be honest, I really didn't think Samie and Ciaran were going to win. They were too boring. I thought it was between Millie and Zach and Scott and Leanne. So I was shocked.
I felt the same way. I was a little scared about Lucinda and Sean because they were voted like favorite? Couple. Mm-hmm. So I thought they could win, and I was like, please don't let them win. I was rooting for Scott and Leanne because Leanne is the star and the gem of the season. I loved when everyone was at when the former Islanders came on. Everyone's like, Leanne, you're amazing. We're obsessed with you. You're the most amazing person on the planet. I was like, everyone loves this woman.
Oh, Leanne.
I loved that.
Again, why Whitney could be jealous.
I know. Leanne is the star. Yeah. So I wanted them to win, or Millie and Zach, because Millie also just seems like a really nice person. She was great. Like, she came off really well in the villa. Yes. So that's who I thought was going to win and who I wanted to win. Either of those two couples. But to our surprise, Samie and Ciaran won. I was really, really surprised by this. Shelby, you were telling me some of your theories why you think they won. What were your theories?
Yes. My theories as to why I think Samie and Ciaran won. They were the basic white couple that was both British, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, apparently, there are a lot of older fans that might not be on socials. So everyone on social is talking about Millie and Zach or Scott and Leanne or Sean and Lucinda, but they're just watching the show and they're posting in Facebook groups, or they're just like the average viewer. Yeah. And they're voting for Samie and Ciaran. So a lot of people think the older demos were like, oh, they're just the cute, white, nice couple. No drama. Vote. No drama. And it's like, what? So I think older demos skewed it, and people that just wanted kind of the basic white British couple.
Yeah, British, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. They were, just kind of classic white British couple. No real drama. So I get why they won, but I'm still confused.
They were so boring.
Very boring. Both of them don't have much personality. I did like Samie coming for Lucinda, because that pie to the face was criminal.
The pie was crazy. The fact we haven't talked about the pie yet is kind of crazy. That was a big part of the season. There were a lot of big parts. Oh my gosh.
That was a great storyline. So I did like how Samie came for Lucinda. Yeah. So I feel fine about them winning. Not my couple, but I feel fine about it. So Shelby, is this season of Love Island All Stars a wait or a watch?
It's a watch. Can't wait for it to come back again.
Yes.
I'm ready for the summer.
Yeah, I agree. This was one of the better seasons of All Stars. It was very entertaining. Good. I think it's the best season so far. And I was in the whole time. The casting was 10-10 and the drama was 10-10. Well, if you enjoyed this episode of Sisters Who Watch, please make sure you're giving us 5 stars wherever you listen. Rate, download, subscribe. We really appreciate your support.
Yes, thank y'all so much for tuning in. I appreciate y'all.
Bye. Stay watching.